So as some of you might know, I have moved, and because of that I'm building a new lab. And a big part of every modern lab is of course a computer. And today I'm gonna document my journey of turning this old and slow tower into a reasonably fast Linux Mint system. So let's go. The first thing I did is swap out the 500 GB hard drive with an SSD, which will make the entire system a lot more responsive and a lot faster. But now the main part is going to be installing the operating system. And this is what this video is mainly about. So let's start with that. So the first thing we gotta do is download the ISO image for the operating system that we're gonna use. And in my case it's Linux Mint, so we just open a browser and then type in Linux Mint. There we go, hit enter. And then this here, linuxmint.com, is the official Linux Mint website. Then we go here on download, and then we have the four Linux Mint editions that we can use. In my case, I'm going to use Cinnamon. Now we go on download here, and then you can choose a location to download. In the best case, you choose something that is close to your location, but I'm going to download it from Layer Online, which you can use worldwide. So just hit that there, and now it's going to download. Depending on your internet connection, this might take longer or less long because the download is about 2.1 gigabytes, as you can see. And since I have cable connection, this shouldn't take too long. But now we gotta wait until this is downloaded. So now, as we can see, our download is ready, which is good. And now we gotta verify the download. And for that, we gotta download this SHA256 sum.txt. We gotta right click on it and then save as, and then we can just save it as this on our desktop. Perfect. And now for verifying it, there is a guide if you click on this verify link here, but this is if you want to verify it on Linux. We're doing it on Windows, so we gotta go down here and click this. And now there is a full guide here, but I'm gonna walk you through on how to do this. So verifying the ISO image is quite simple. You just gotta create a folder, a new folder on the desktop, and call it whatever you want. I'm gonna call it ISO. And then you gotta transfer your ISO image and your text file you downloaded into the folder, and then open it. And then you do Shift and right click, and this will open up this window. And then you click Open PowerShell window here, and this will open a PowerShell command window. Now what we gotta do is go to this page we opened before, scroll down a little, and then we have this code here. We can copy this first part, Ctrl C, and then Ctrl V. Then we gotta tap a space, and now we gotta take the entire name of this ISO file and also copy it and paste it into the command window here. Now the last thing we gotta do is open the browser again and copy this last part here. Of course, make sure that you have a space here and paste it in. And that's it. Now you can hit enter, and depending on what hardware you have, this is gonna take a while because now it's checking the ISO image and verifying it. So now let's wait a bit. And here we go. That's basically it. Now we have this long string of letters and numbers here, which is our verification code. If we now open up this text document we downloaded, and like this, now the Linux Mint version we downloaded is Linux Mint 20.3 Cinnamon 64-bit, and this is this one here. And now we gotta compare this line of letters and numbers to this line of letters and numbers. And if everything matches up, then that means that our ISO image is intact and is legit. So now you gotta check that, and that's basically it. You have now verified your ISO image. So now, after we have downloaded and verified our ISO, we gotta burn it onto a flash drive. And for that, on the Linux Mint website where we downloaded it, there is this link to the installation guide. And here you can follow this entire documentary. But we're just gonna need one thing from this list. And that is here, create the bootable media. For this, it brings us here. And then we have this highlighted link thing here, and we gotta open it in a new tab, and it brings us to the Balena Etcher website, which is the program that we're gonna use to etch this onto our flash drive. Now we could also use something like Rufus, this program right here, but it's a bit more complicated, and for beginners Balena works just fine. Depending on what Linux distribution you use though, you might have to use Rufus, but for that it helps if you just look in the installation guide for your specific distribution. So now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna click here and we're gonna download it. It's relatively a small download, a bit over 100 megabytes, so it's not gonna take long. Here we go. It is downloaded. Now we can hide the browser and get it here from our downloads folder. And here we go. Now we double click it, and this is gonna start the setup menu for Balena Etcher. Now we gotta agree to these licensing agreements, and now it's installing. And here we go. Now this is our final program. And after the install, it opens automatically. And so now we can plug in our flash drive. So now our flash drive is plugged in, we can close it there. And now we're gonna click Flash from File. And we're gonna select our ISO image here and open it. Voila, that's done. Now we are gonna select the target. And for this here, we have the SanDisk USB drive. Now there are 3 hidden here's, which they're hidden for a reason, because these are your system drives. In my case, this drive right here is the drive where my operating is installed in, and here are the other drives that are installed. So make absolutely sure that you don't flash one of these, otherwise you will erase all the data on there and possibly even damage your system. So we're gonna select our USB drive here, select, and now the last thing that remains is to flash it. So we click here, and now a pop-up window appears where we have to put in the administration key. And that's it. After you have done that, it will start flashing, and after a few minutes it will be done. So I'll be back as soon as it's done. And there we go. Now our flash drive is bootable and we can unplug it. We can close Etcher and unplug our USB drive. And that's it. Now let's stick this into our PC and boot into Linux. So the first thing it's got to do is take your bootable USB drive and put it in any USB slot on your computer, then turn it on and then hit either F12, F11, F8 or F2 to enter the BIOS. Note that during the entire startup process you got to keep tapping that key. As soon as you're in your BIOS, select your USB drive and on the start menu of Linux Mint, just click enter and then Linux Mint will start up. And then you'll boot into your live desktop environment where you can play around a bit and test out your Linux distro. But in this case, I jump directly to the installation. There you can do all the typical stuff like put in your language, keyboard layout. And when this window here pops up, check the box to install the multimedia codecs, which is needed to play some video formats. So definitely install that and then hit continue. Now you have two options. First of all, install Linux on your hard drive, which is what we're gonna do. Or if you already have another operating system on there, you can also install Linux alongside that operating system and dual boot your system. But we're not gonna do that in this case. So just continue, and when it warns you that all your data will be erased on the drive, also just continue. And that's basically it. Now Linux Mint is installing, so we gotta wait for a few minutes. And after that, this window is gonna appear. You can just click restart, and then the entire system is gonna reboot. And then you'll see this screen, which tells you to remove your installation medium. Do that, and then press enter. And now your system is booting up from the operating system you've just installed, and you can log in into your new Linux system for the first time. After you have logged into your system, this message here will appear, which gives you some info about the Linux distribution itself and some tips. You can read it if you want, or otherwise just close it, and then you can start customizing your system, like for example setting a custom background, which I do here. And that's it. You have now installed Linux. So now, after you have successfully made a bootable USB drive and successfully installed your operating system, you might not want to keep your bootable drive and you want to convert it back to a normal drive so you can store data on it. So let me show you how that's done. So first you plug in your USB drive into your computer, then you go to your drives. And now this is the USB drive, and you right click on it, and then you click on format and you format it, and now it warns you that all the data on the drive will be erased, but that's fine. Okay, so now the drive is formatted, and now you gotta open up a command prompt. So you just type cmd here and open it. Now you write disk part and hit enter. And now here we have the disk part command window open. So now you write list disk and hit enter. And now we can see all the disks that we have. And now we can see that disk 4 has a size of 14 gigabytes, and that is my USB flash drive. Now, when selecting these disks, you have to be very careful that you select the right one, because if you don't, you might completely brick your Windows install. So you gotta be careful here. So now we type SEL space disk, and in our case it's disk 4, this one here, the 14 gigabyte one, and then we hit enter. Now we type clean and hit enter. Okay, as we could see, the disk was cleaned. Now if we open up the command window again, you can see that it's clean, so everything is done here, and we can exit the command prompt. So now our drive is cleaned, but we gotta assign a partition to it. Now in my case, I had to go into the administrator account on this computer, and it will not work with a normal user account. So make sure that you're an administrator for this. Then we right click on the Windows symbol here, go to disk management, and now we can see our disk here. Now we right click on the disk and click on new simple volume. Now we just click here and here, Now you can assign a letter to your drive here. I'm just gonna leave it as G, and then we can continue. You don't have to change anything here, and click finish. Now we wait for a second. And here we go. Now we can close disk management. Now if we click on our drive here, we can see that it is a normal USB drive again, and it's completely usable. So that's how you convert a bootable USB drive to a normal USB drive. So now this is all you need to know if you want to install a Linux operating system. This video was a bit different from my usual content, but it is part of me building my new lab, so I hope it was interesting. So until next time, thank you for watching, stay safe and keep exploring science. This was Science by Sergio, and I'm out.